Welcome, everyone. My name is Adrienne Ashley. Today is the second day of the fabulous 10-day event, The Future of Money. Now, before we get started, I need to share a brief disclaimer. The content of this summit is provided for informational purposes only and is not intended to provide specific tax, accounting, legal, or other investment advice or provide the basis for any financial or investment decisions. You should always consult with a licensed professional to seek specific advice to your own situation. Okay, now let's get to the good stuff. Welcome back to The Future of Money, the world's largest live online cryptocurrency summit. I'm Adrienne Ashley, and I am the author of Minting the Future, and I am the co-host and co-producer for the event. For our next presenter, we're going to be talking with James Ross. But before I introduce him, let me quickly mention that on this page, you will see a button for the cryptocurrency training kit. I will put that link for Facebook viewers in the comments at the top. This is a special offer during the summit that gets you over 40 hours of talks, 25 plus speaker bonuses, and a program called the Cryptocurrency Mastery Program. The regular price is $497, and you can secure it now for just $297. It's the most comprehensive training package in the market, so take advantage of that special offer now. Now, on to James Ross, who is actually one of my BFFs. So I'm going to read his bio, but let me tell you, this is going to be a wild rock and ride, and you are not going to want to miss a thing. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, make sure you have coffee. Actually, make sure you're already caffeinated. So CEO and co-founder James Ross leads Hedge Chatter, a platform which analyzes social media financial messages utilizing artificial intelligence to predict the direction of stock and crypto prices. His work in social media and finance has landed Hedge Chatter on Entrepreneur's list of 100 most brilliant companies, and they've been a guest invited by the UK government to open the London Stock Exchange twice in 2 years. James is a regular invited guest on TD Ameritrade's TV segment Cut the Cord, where he shares the latest findings on investor sentiment for the markets, stocks, and crypto. James is going to be talking to us today about AI, social data, and the new way to trade stocks and crypto. So welcome, James. With that, I am so excited because I know what your platform does, and I cannot wait until the rest of the world does too.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. I want to talk about the three things that we're going to go over in this conversation. And I would have said it a little bit differently, but I'm not allowed to, I have to not use bad words. So James and I we have a potty mouth pot that we're going to put things into and donate to charity because both of us actually have one. So we're going to make sure we don't have one today. But he's going to cover how to find what's becoming hot before the prices jump, how to use manipulation detection to avoid a loss for fake news, and how to reduce risk on questionable stocks and crypto. And at the end of the talk, we'll let you know how you can access some important free resources from James. So make sure you stick around to the very end of the call because you are not going to want to miss that at all. So before we dive into your topic, James, we're asking everyone to share their perspective on the question, how do you think crypto will influence the future of money and the world? So what is your perspective?
That's huge. It's
the whole hour right there.
It is, because you think about it, 2009, in fact, that was just the year before I met you in 2010. So actually before we met in 2010 in San Diego, I had just been introduced to Bitcoin at a Starbucks. I just met a guy, pulled up on a Harley Davidson. We get to talking. Turns out we're both in technology. And he says this phrase that we've all heard. Have you ever heard of Bitcoin? And I'm like, well, no, what is it? And so he's telling me about it. And I'm thinking this is great. But, the challenge is I want to go into Starbucks and buy my espresso. I get a triple espresso. I'm drinking these things all the time. And how do I buy it? And he's like, no, worry. Eventually this thing will take off. And I said, well, what's the value of this right now? He's like, it's like 2 pennies a piece. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, in being in technology, okay, someone who's come from technology has developed voice over IP solutions before anybody knew what that was, calls over the internet. I mean, just building bleeding edge stuff. Right here I am, have done these kind of things. And he's telling me this, and I'm still not even grasping it. And he says, let me make a suggestion. Take like $500 and buy $500 worth. And I didn't get it. And he says, let me send you one. So he sends me one. And I immediately deleted it off my phone after. I'm like, this thing's just going to use up space. So it took some time. But if you look at that was only, 8 years ago, basically.
Right.
2010 started moving.
That's why I want a time machine.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we need a time machine. But if you look at that and what has happened today, I mean, this is basically crypto is more powerful than what the internet was. I mean, how long did it take people to figure out how to do a dial up modem and all this stuff? Now, if you're under 24 years old, you don't even know what that is. That's fine. But everybody else, you had to dial up, you had to run software, AOL, you got mail stuff. I mean, my God, the pain point that took for years and years and years to get that to ever come. So when you look at where we were and how much we've accomplished in a short time, it's not where we're going. I think the question is, where's this thing going to end up?
Right. We are just at the very, very beginning. And that's one of the points that I think that you make that people don't understand. They're like, oh, Bitcoin's already boomed. No, it actually hasn't. It's just now started to leave its nest just a little bit so other people might even recognize that it exists. But we haven't started to tap the future of blockchain, because that's the other piece. Blockchain and Bitcoin, while Bitcoin is built on a blockchain, it's not the same thing. And the technology underlying Bitcoin, that's what's truly revolutionary. But I want to talk about what Hedge Chatter does and what you do specifically. So let's go into what you did with stocks, because I love this. You are like the king of outing the pump and dumps. Like, you want to call we need a website that just is like the pump and dump hate list or something. like the hit list, right? The top hits, the biggest pumps and dumps, the biggest market manipulations, because it's not real, right? Somebody's actively doing it, but you can sniff it out using AI and using your technology. And you were the first person to ever be able to do this. And actually your software works the best out of all the ones that have tried to repeat and copy what you're doing. They just can't. So talk to me about what is social sentiment? How does it work? And why do we care about it in crypto?
You know what? Why don't I start with the last question first? Because why does it matter? Why does social sentiment analysis matter? Why does processing messages matter? It's interesting because my other partners, they had were trading in the stock market. They were reading all the good stuff about, hey, buy this stock and this is going to take off. And these are all the big deals we've got going and all the press releases and everything. And everybody knows it's a game, right? So if you don't know it's a game, you're playing the game and you're not the one that's going to win, right?
Right.
So, they bought into it. They lost a significant amount of money because it turned out it was fake. It was basically none of the deals were true. And you're talking, I think it was like $50-60 million. They had signed a deal with like Nickelodeon for this special nanotechnology sponge. And they were supposed to do all this great stuff. And it turned out they really actually didn't have anything. And so their question was, how could we have known this? And we got to talking years ago. And what's funny is I'll tell you kind of a little history of Hedge Chatter. When I had a voice over IP company. And so we had basically shooting calls over the internet. And we had a client that was down in Costa Rica, and he was running sports books and casinos. And he wanted a toll-free number in the US where his customers could call him down into Costa Rica and place bets. Well, at that time, this was early 2003, you couldn't just call AT&T and say, hey, I got a casino in Costa Rica. Can I get a phone number from you? Not going to happen.
No.
So what we did is we allowed them to have a phone number, and we sent the calls over the internet down to them. And then I would periodically have to check billing and stuff because I was the tech guy, the chief technology officer of that company. And we'd have to go and take a look at all this. And what we started finding was correlations of when these calls were coming in from certain customers they had. And so the interesting thing with voice over IP is you can actually listen to the calls. If it's inside of a data packet, you don't need a warrant for that. So we thought, hey, part of our building of our quality of service to make sure the calls were good, let's start mining the data and see what's actually in the calls.
Oh my God!
So what we found was this percentage of people that would call and place bets, they won, and they won every single time.
Ooh, how do you do that?
Exactly. But more importantly, how do you make money with it? That's what I wanted to do. It's like, hey, wait a minute. If they somehow know, we don't know how they know, and half the audience cares, half the audience doesn't care.
Doesn't care. I don't care how they know. I just know that they know.
And if this is the direction they're headed, Why don't we go and place bets in Vegas, not to move the line or anything, but we do follow-on bets the same way, and we'll be able, to reap rewards. Well, at that time, the partners in the company were very, very, very corporate America, and attorneys almost had a heart attack when I explained the concept of what we were going to do.
I had a heart attack when he said we could listen in without a warrant. And I'm like, holy heck, wait a minute. Voice over IP. You mean like my internet telephone at home? You mean like my cable telephone at home, not my AT&T landline that I used to have that I no longer have.
Right, exactly.
Ooh.
So what happened was, so Rob, who's our chief operating officer, him and I got together and started talking, and he had built up voice over IP companies all around Georgia and stuff. And we got to talking, and I kind of shared with him what I was doing. I said, one day we should do this for stocks. Obviously we can't go tap phone calls, to listen for stock price. And then a couple years later, we started talking again. We said, the social media thing's really coming out. What if we did the same concept where you're listening to the winners, you're listening to the losers? Those who are winning, you generate an alert letting you know that there's a consensus, just like blockchain needing to reach a consensus.
Right.
And those that are significantly losing, if they're saying buy something, then we actually create a sell signal to do the opposite. Why not? So now you can make money with the people that are getting it right, and you can make money with the people that are getting it wrong. Because what we found is all the talking heads out there that are giving, advice and saying, hey, put your money in here, put your money in here. It's basically the rising tide floats all ships. And then all of a sudden something happens, and then boom, it drops. And the challenge is if you don't have this new data set, everything that people are looking at is the same thing everyone else is looking at. That's what makes social so powerful.
That was, okay, so let's talk. You almost created a hedge fund, which I'm still going to strong arm you to do, because Lord knows I don't want to do it. I don't want to manage it. I just want to hand you a chunk of money and be like, please do this. But you don't do that yet, which drives me crazy. But talk about how, let's say a case study, an actual case study. You put $50,000 into a fund, and you made how many trades in how many days, and did what with it?
So I could give you specific examples and show you. I can't say as a fund, obviously, because
it wasn't a fund. It was your own account. Yeah.
Own account. But on a 30,000 block that we did for a period of 3 months, we were able to do 14 trades and generate a 26% return.
Wow.
In 2 months.
In 2 months. I would take that. I would just like wash, rinse, repeat, just keep doing that. So it proves the social sentiment. This is what I want people to understand is there are stock pickers, and then there are people who look at, P&Ls, and they look at ROI, and there's all different things that you can look at, but social sentiment, and the belief that there are people out there who are definitely smarter, more in the know, and probably have more information than you is not a bad way to analyze trades. Now, how are you doing this? Actually, I take that back. I want to talk about pump and dump. I want to talk about what you look at. This drives me freaking crazy, because especially in crypto, this is such a huge thing. They do the ICO, they do the hype. This one that I was just looking at, they came out, their pre-ICO, like friends and family rate was 20 cents. Their ICO rate was 30 cents. They pumped that baby all the way up to 218. Then all the investors, everybody took out their money. It's down to about 19 cents, and it stayed there. It's flat ever since. So, this is common behavior, common procedure. I hate it. It makes me crazy. It doesn't increase the value of the opportunity. It doesn't increase the value of the utility of the ideas. So, how do you spot that? How do you avoid that? Especially when you're looking at ICOs and things like that. What do you look for?
Do you want to do a screen share?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yes.
Okay. Here,
I know your graphics are good.
I love doing that. Here, let me.
Oh yeah, go for it.
And let's see. And that should work. How are we doing? Seeing the screen good?
Yes.
Perfect. So let's talk about that. So let me give you a perfect example. So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of referencing stocks. So we're just about finished our last piece before we put in production for crypto. But we're doing the exact same thing with crypto on our back end. And then June 15th is when we actually roll out the full production. But it's basically the same exact concept here. Everything that happens in stocks, all the pump and dumps is the same methodologies are happening here. So what we're doing is we're looking for fake accounts that are being created. So in other words, are you having multiple accounts that are being set up, multiple usernames that are actually saying the same message? Is it coming from, particular parts of the world, certain countries? And then how
Yes.
often are those saying, those messages coming out? Like, for instance, if you tweet out, you know, 500 times a day, buy Tesla, or buy Bitcoin, we're going to be able to detect that, hey, there's some issues here. And then we'll look at the IP address, and we'll also look to see how long the user account's been online. And I mean, we have been nailing this left and right with stocks. In fact, just to show you, let me show this up on our press page. You can see here that law firms are actually using HedgeChatter's data to prosecute pump and dumps.
Nice.
So
that's one of my pet peeves. Like, that's one of my big pet peeves.
Well, yeah, because you want to trust that you're putting your money in, it's going somewhere correctly. And this is actually hosted on Stanford. So Stanford is actually now including what we've done with identifying pump and dump over in classes. So, but let me go back to this real quick. So I just kind of wanted to show you some validation. So here's a great example. This AXON company, they're doing good. So let's say you're looking at P&L, you're fundamentals, or even if you're looking at technical, you've got trades coming in, trades coming out. Okay, that's good. Then you look at fundamentals. They've got a great pipeline of drugs. Their sales numbers are great. The whole company is rah, rah, rah. Everything's looking good. So here you are, an investor, and you're locked into this, and you're cruising along, 26 or 29, $22, $19 a share. And then suddenly it pops up to this 26.20. And on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 days in a row, we had 3 downside risk indicators. So here's what this is telling you as a trader in both stocks and for cryptos, is that the masses, the majority of people out there have suddenly went from this is something really good to this is something really bad. So what's happening is all the message, whether they're tweeting, doing stock twits, whatever they're doing, whatever platform, we're pulling in 140 different sources. And we're basically extracting that to understand so we can identify significant events quickly. So in other words, rather than something happen and then you hear about 4 or 5 hours later, because it takes that long for social to propagate, we're pulling that information and then generating those alerts on it. So within this 3 days, we have these downside risk alerts.
Oh, look at that. So day one return, actual.
So this was the drop had you shorted the stock. And so that was actually one of the trades. I was on the phone with so we have quant groups and hedge funds. They're buying our data and they're pulling our data in because they know what it does. They know what it's capable. And it's what's called the alternative data source set. And hedge funds are using this because it's different than what everybody else has access to. But here on a Monday, the stock closed at 24.25. Now, what was interesting is on Monday at about 3:30 p.m., I'm talking with a group and I'm doing a demo for them. And they're like, wait a minute, we're in this stock. It was about $22 a share around 3:30 on Monday. They're like, what are these red indicators? And I'm like, that's a good point. Let me look up. So basically, I scrolled through the Twitter sphere here. And what had happened was some scientist tweeted out, hey, this company has proposed the documentation for their level 2 FDA trials. It's actually cut and paste from a completely different drug.
Oh my God.
So
what happened? Fired? Somebody's getting fired.
Oh yeah. All sorts of stuff. So what happened was the next day, the stock closed at 6:33. That is less than 1 day. So we're identifying this in fact, we actually would have known it Monday morning had we just went back and looked, but we weren't even paying attention to this one particular. But had we just gone and looked at it, we could have known this. We could have known this before the opening Monday morning, before the opening. So all day people are buying and selling the stock. We could have known. But what happened was they went in and did whatever they did on their position side. And the next day it had basically dropped 73%.
Wow.
Less than 1 day. So what's happening is that's a symbol of someone that's basically doing manipulation, and then suddenly social catches onto it and then brings us that data through our dashboard.
Got
The
it.
other type of manipulation, and the one that I know you really like, is where they're actually pumping this.
Pumping. Yeah.
So this was a great one. Remark Holdings. You may have heard of them. Pretty interesting company, and they may have ties to another company. And I'm not going to say their name. Where maybe you buy a movie ticket and it only costs you a certain subscription
Oh,
fee.
okay. Yes. Yeah.
I'm not going to say any names, but
Movie Pass.
so so this one, they had basically been moving along quite slowly, and what we did was we took a look at the manipulation, and what we found was on the day that it reached consensus. So we generate what's called an upside momentum, meaning everybody believes this is going to go up. So that's great. What is that belief based on? And so what we'll do is we'll actually take a look either that day or the day before, and we'll see how much of those messages are fake. So here we can
Ooh, look at
see,
the red down there at the bottom. Fake
yes,
social.
62%. So we know that anything 52 to 58% and over, somebody's pumping fake articles, fake PR, fake news, just like they do with everything else. We're catching it. So we know then, okay, one of two things will happen.
Yeah.
If they continue with the fake news and they continue pumping each day, the price will then go up.
Right.
Or if they stop, the price will drop, and it'll drop anywhere from 10, we've even seen up to 25, 30% within a matter of 7 to 10 days. So if you look here where they're hitting the accelerator, the stock, hover back over, the stock went up 100+%. Forgot exactly. Got a little delay there. There we go.
168%.
Yes, 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 yes. So 5 days. Let's just say you're a short term. 5 days, it was up 77.
Yeah, 77.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. So that's another form of manipulation. So we show all of our customers, subscribers, all this. They can come in and they can see how much is being manipulated, so they understand the biggest key to both stocks and crypto trading is risk management.
Right.
How are you mitigating that risk factor? Another one that's a big one that's taken off. Typically, if we see, like I showed you before, if we ever see 3 downside risk indicators, we know the stock's going to drop, unless hang on, we'll pull up the manipulation point. 72% fake. So what they are doing here is the consensus world believes that it's going to go down, but they are trying to force fake news through that to break through, and they did. So if you look at this stock here, April 17th, it was around $9 a share is what it closed out, and it jumped all the way up to 19. It almost hit 20. In fact, I think where we at today, 18.25.
Wow. But they've now managed to get the good news. So they were able to use the fake news until they could get the real news.
Right. So what's happening is they're going out, the PR story is being told and sold to everybody. Mm-hmm. However, if you look at fundamentals and everything for this particular company, it's not good. $14 billion in debt. They had to recapitalize a debt credit component. That all of the stuff that says the stock should go down. And in fact, if you run any fundamental analysis, it's going to say the stock should have stayed at $3, $4, which is where it was here.
So I would expect that there's going to be a dump on the horizon if it were me.
Yes. And so that's what we're looking at now, is to see, okay, is this going to continue forward? And this is what's interesting here, is we have our upside momentum, but we're not seeing the high manipulation anymore. So it's almost as the story is now at this point, it's true. So if you look at what's happening, they own licensing for the new 5G spectrum.
Oh.
And so they're trying to hold that ability to have that license and then license it out to other, basically Verizon and everyone else. So the FCC is going to make a decision on that. Well, the question you have to ask yourself is, how does a stock go from $3 to 18 on a hunch that they may say yes?
That's not logical.
And that's what the data shows us.
So sounds like Olivia Pope was on that as their publicist.
Exactly.
What that sounds like, right?
Exactly.
So, yes. So okay. So talk to me about. Let's go back to you. Let's wipe the screen and go back to you. I miss your pretty face.
Oh, let me show you one more thing.
Okay.
This is the part. Let's pull this up real quick. Let's see. There we go. Okay, this is the new thing that we're actually working on. We're about to incorporate this piece in. So what this shows us is starting every night at midnight, what we do is we want to see who the trending leaders are. So for instance, here we can take a look, and this shows us hour by hour. It refreshes every hour. It shows us who the top leaders are. So here we have Bitcoin is down at number 15. Normally, Bitcoin floats at number 1 or 2 as the most chatted security out there between both stocks and crypto. Yeah, I mean it's constantly, but now it's sitting at 15. What we've been able to do is we can come in here and we now compare these and show you hour by hour by hour. And in this next release that's coming out in the next week, this will all be color coded. So what happens is we could come in and say, okay, for Bitcoin, for instance, where is Bitcoin at in just chatter volume? We can see that here. Then we can look at social sentiment volume later. So in other words, overall sentiment, where does Bitcoin fall in? And so we could take a look at that hour by hour. We can then look and see positive sentiment leaders, acceleration and strong buy. And this is extremely important because if Bitcoin, for instance, if Bitcoin is for here, it's at number 10, right? And we're seeing the price at where it's at 8 a.m. And then it starts to drop off. You know the Bitcoin price is going to go down. If it starts to climb up, you know it's going to accelerate further. And so what we've done is by looking at acceleration of strong buy or strong sell or acceleration strong sell and seeing where it's ranking every hour, we know the next hour about where the price is going to be. In fact, what happened, and I'll roll back to the screen here. What happened was, let's see, stop sharing, is our CEO, Rob, who's basically is going to get the title of Bitcoin trader now, because what he's been doing is he's taking where everything is moving, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and he's looking at how those changes are happening. And then he's sending out a report to our subscribers, basically talking about within the next hour, Bitcoin, crypto, anything you want to know. We're doing right now about 100 stock or about 100 cryptos. And then in the next 7 days, we're going to dump the rest of them in. But he's seeing hour by hour, depending on what our subscribers wanted to see, what the price is either going to go up or go down to. And so what we've done now is we've taken that, because we have AI in the background that's actually pulling this information and extracting and running through a process. We've now been running AI on top of this, and hour by hour, it's predicting an hour in advance within 1% of where the cryptos are going to be, and if the price actually went up or went down.
Wow. Okay, so can it extrapolate farther than the next hour? I mean, that's really good if the price is all of a sudden going to start to plummet. You know, okay, we've now hit a top, sell now. I wish somebody had told me that when it hit 20,000. That would have been amazing. Because what was so funny is, you know, Bitcoin, I said in January of 2017, Bitcoin will hit 10,000 by the end of the year. Everybody thought I was crazy. And I'm like, it's math. Hello. Like, it's read the algorithm. It's math. There's really no place for it to go but up. So it did. It actually hit 10,000 in November. And people looked at me like I was some kind of gypsy, you know, fortune teller. Then it hit 20,000. Everybody's, ah! And it went back to 10,000. And they're like, oh my God, I'm destitute. I'm like, but in November you were rich, and it's the same price now, but now you're right. So there's so much volatility in crypto, especially, but especially in altcoins. You know, there's this whole conversation about it should never be a store of fun, a store of money, or a store of value. I think it is. I mean, there's nothing besides our military backing fiat currency. So why not have math? I prefer math, right? Math and people with definitely better ideas about how to orchestrate money. That seems to work. So talk to me about a lot of people have been asking you to do a hedge chatter for crypto. So you're finally doing that. Thank you. I will send you more chocolate. My bribes have finally kicked in. I'm excited about that. But what are the things that they really want to know? Like, I get the social sentiment, but what were the big concerns with crypto? I know volatility is one. How to spot a fake. So ICO pump and dumps. Definitely yours is for more established stocks that are listed on the market. But talk to me about ICOs and what we can expect in terms of being able to identify good ones and bad ones.
Well, by virtue of how we're tracking, it's almost going to be consensus in and of its own self, because what we're going to be looking for is the people that have participated and called out. So in other words, you and I both know, 5 years ago, you could just hit a button and create 1,000 fake Twitter accounts, right? Well,
Yeah.
That's all gone now. You got to verify, two-factor authentication. You have to do all this. So it's really hard to do that. So what's happening is they want reach. So the people that are going to do a pump and dump, they need to have reach. So they have to keep an established account. So what we're doing is we're tracking and pulling that information in to say, okay, if Jeff recommended, this one particular ICO and then a second ICO and a third ICO, and each one of those dropped by 50, 70% within the next amount of period of time, then the next time Jeff talks about the latest ICO going, we're going to have insight into the fact that, well, he's been involved in 5 to 6 of them already. So wait a minute, we see what's actually being pushed out on social media, but let's use the tool here to dissect and understand what's actually being talked about. And so we're going to pull that information in. So that way you have it's almost like social credit, if you will.
I love that. So, I'm all about reputation, and I love the blockchain is going to be able to help us with that. So people will not be able to run away from their reputation. They're going to have to own it, which is always good.
Right.
So ICOs, what should they be doing to get good reputation scores?
Build a good product. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Build a good product and, get people involved and stay communicating with those people and then show people milestones. I really think ICOs are going to move to a milestone component. So in other words, people are showing milestones as a pretty graphic, and that's great. But what I think is going to happen is people are going to start commenting on, is the ICO, is the team actually moving forward? And, are they hitting the milestones? And if so, especially as they're coming up to launch an ICO, people are going to want to know, hey, and what other projects have they worked on before that were actually successful? It's going to change quickly, because, before you could just say, hey, I'm doing an ICO, and bada bing, bada boom, $20, $30 million come in. Those days I don't think are here anymore. I think people are wanting to know, wait a minute, I'm going to get into a project, I'm going to support the project, but I don't want it to end up being some kind of failed, product on Kickstarter, so to speak.
Well, I mean, I get hit up 10 to 20 times a day now on LinkedIn as the number one woman in blockchain. There's good and bad that goes with that. What was great was somebody sent me a great one, and I cannot wait to put it up there. I have the Marketing Your Way to the Big House campaigns that'll land you in jail, or should have. So this particular ICO, and part of me just thinks, you almost need to have a free version of Hedge Chatter for the stupid people, right? Like don'tbeanidiot.com. Because this ICO, the founders had only first names. There were no photographs, so you couldn't even right click and see if it was a stock photo. And you couldn't, and it was poorly written English. It was like they tried really hard, but definitely English was not their first language.
Right.
And they sold $5 million in 3 days. But there's no way to track. I mean, I guess there is a way to forensically track all of that, but there's no way to really, like, they're still doing it, right? The Nigerians are still at it, and they're winning. So I cannot wait for this to come out. Now, are you going to post like scam alerts? Are you going to have like that, like the I'm calling you out page? Can we have that, pretty please?
We've thought about that, especially with manipulation in the stocks. The challenge is then there becomes legalities around you're saying, hey, I mean, we have the data to show it. So if we have a portal where people come and subscribe, and because we're doing, a special launch for our 5-year anniversary that's coming up, but if they're in our portal, we can provide that information, but we can't publicly go and say, call someone out, because then of course the, lawsuits.
I have a suggestion. So I happen to own Yelp-Sucks.com. Here's why.
Right.
Sucks, scam, fraud, and fake are the 4 top things, negative things that people will say about you on the internet.
Okay.
Fraud has a legal threshold. Scam has a legal threshold. Fake has a legal threshold. Sucks is opinion and free speech. I can say anybody sucks and there's not a damn thing you can do about it because it's my opinion and there is no legal threshold. So you could have ICOs that suck with no reason why they suck. Just these suck. Like, read the white paper and figure out why it sucks for your own darn self, or comment below why you think it sucks. And you would get so much traffic on that. I think actually I need to buy that right now. ICOs.
We could consider doing something with you on that. We might be up for that, because at the end of the day, what we want is we want to help people that were in the boats we were in. Which is, I got suckered out of this, I got suckered out of that. How do I avoid doing that? And, outside of, wiretapping someone's phone and having that direct NSA level, intelligence, this is the closest thing to be able to get that. And that's what we've been able to do. And that's what our clients like, is that we can extract that kind of data, show them that, and they can pull it up and say, hey,
and freely available, freely given on social media. So there's no issue of privacy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that part, because privacy, of course, we are a decentralized, the core foundation of blockchain is decentralization and, and autonomous, or what is it? Like a holacracy, like everybody just works together. And so I like that we're not actually violating anybody's privacy rights in order to make sure that we're not getting scammed, that it would just seem like, it's a little not quite. Okay, so talk to us. I know we've only got a few minutes left, but I want to talk about, you're doing a bonus gift for our people, and I want to highlight that, and I want to thank you for coming on the summit. I love your product. I think it's amazing, and I'm so glad that you're doing crypto because it's awesome. But I want to talk about your bonus gift. And before I do that, I want to remind everyone that you can get this entire training summit through our cryptocurrency training kit. It gets you the downloadable access to the videos, the audios, the transcripts, bonus gifts of the speakers, all for only $297. And you will also get a special bonus training called the Crypto Mastery Program, which we're producing right now. And after the summit, the price of that training program will go up to $497. So if you'd like to own the materials and refer back to them at your convenience, and maybe you had to miss one of the live broadcasts and you want to make sure that you see them all and make sure you are up top on all of the latest information, now is the time to do that. So now, James, I would love for you to share some more information about your bonus gift, which is the top 5 secrets successful crypto traders keep quiet about with our audience. I love that part, by the way.
Well, it's interesting because, we talk to a lot of traders, and we talk, you have the retail investors that are trading both stocks, both cryptos, all the way up to hedge funds and quant groups that are super secretive. They plaster you with NDAs. And we've learned a couple of things from basically the high-powered ones we call high power. And it's both. It's the everyday person who's making trades, as far as which accounts they should be using, what they should be accessing, certain times of the day they trade. That is extremely important. And how often they should trade. You see, I think the biggest challenge that we've found with people is do I trade when I get excited? Now, in the stock world, people have already figured out, I need to hold back emotions. And those who don't hold back emotions get caught up and maybe, the results aren't what they're looking for. Well, a lot of people have come into crypto and they're trading and they've never even traded stocks before. Ooh. So the reality is the rules are the same. The rules are completely the same. Now, there's regulations, that's different. But now that Bitcoin is stabilized, and I keep saying Bitcoin because that has created the stability factor. It's what everybody was pushing for, which we knew once it happened, we're now going to be in the next phase of growth. And so because of the stability here, now you have the short-term volatility. And I mean, you can watch some interesting indicators and see, is this going to go up? Is this going to go down? And then you trade, and then maybe you do one trade a day, two trades a day, and then you're done. And so what we do is in the bonus gift, we walk people through that. And we also offer, for our new release that we're going to do with the platform deal, we offer a very, very, very significant discount. So in other words, if they go through by the program, when we launch our crypto platform with stocks, that'll be $600 a year. However, if they come and get the bonus gift through you, then they're able to sign up for only $200 for the entire year, which is actually less than what we even sell just a stock platform. Because we want to help people. We're having a lot of fun with this.
I love it. And, you know, I also really love the whole crypto community. And I love that there's so many different flavors of everything. Now, we focus so much on Bitcoin, but there's also Ethereum. And then there's, you know, the dark coins like Monero, right? And I don't want to call Pivx dark because it's purple and it's so not dark, but it's private, right? So it's like you got all of these other tokens, and are they tokens or are they cash? And you know, when you're looking at crypto and when you're looking at your platform, are you going to talk about all the alts or just the majors or just the money ones or just the, like, how are you defining utility versus security versus commodity?
Right.
That's going to be fun too. Like, right. My head almost exploded when we had this conversation with the SEC. I can see why you have not come out with regulations yet. I can see why you're sitting here spinning because you really don't understand it.
I mean, it's a lot, you know, it's a huge amount. And then when you think about too, you know, it's, you know, in the world of crypto, it's a mindset change now. We had the run up. We had the people who didn't believe, then they believed, didn't believe, didn't believe. I remember when it was, Bitcoin was at $40, mm-hmm. 40. And people had been sitting on it and been sitting at 40 for several months. And they were like, I'm done. I'm getting out. It's $40. I'm done. I'm getting out. And what's happened is there was those fluctuations, but that was before the masses knew about it. Bitcoin is now every day. You can go anywhere and somebody knows what Bitcoin is. They know what cryptocurrency is, and they're starting to learn what the altcoins are. This has now become established. So now instead of just going that run up, one hit, and you're done, we now have a market that's trading. And I mean, NASDAQ, you heard what they're doing, right? They're coming out with 3 coins on the exchange. 3. So Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Stellar XLM. What do you think's going to happen? I'm so excited because I know. All of a sudden Stellar just landed in my wallet. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, I don't even know how I got it. Like, what the heck? And I'm so excited. Yes. It's amazing. I mean, Stellar's great. I mean, you know, they all have some great kind of benefit too. You know, I'm kind of particular with Stellar just because I've been, you know, I've owned Stellar for quite a long time now. Well, you know, crypto world, quite a long time, you know, 5 years. But it's interesting, you know, I mean, you know, $100,000 from me to you, stored value in a second or 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds. It's there. And it's like 4 cents, I think, for the transaction.
Right.
So
I thought that was awesome. Now, but here's the problem. It's great. Those kinds of transactions are great when you're talking about crypto to crypto. But when you're talking about trying to get it back into US dollars, I just got totally jacked the other day. I moved $10,000 into my bank account and I did it on Coinbase, which cost me $148. It should have done it on GDAX. It would have cost me $25.
Right.
And I had no idea. I don't know why. I mean, I know GDAX and they keep telling me to go to GDAX, but for some reason I started on Coinbase and I've been on Coinbase since Coinbase started.
Right.
And I still have Bank of America. Like, I'm still that person, right? Like, I'm like the mainstream person. I want the brand name. And I think this is going to be the interesting thing because we have this whole mainstream media that's talking about everything, but they're like risky, fraud. And that sets in the minds of the mainstream people, right? And so they don't understand how much upside potential we have. They also like the idea of having, you know, that middleman who can just claw back whatever they mistakenly give to somebody. And that's the difference in crypto is it's all personal responsibility.
It's done. So, it's done. It's done. One and done. I mean, when you think every day in the US, there's about 604,000 wires that are transmitted, bank wires.
Oh, and there's so much fraud.
Yeah, well, So I'm not even talking about the fraud. I'm just simply saying, let's just focus on the 604,000. Okay.
Yeah.
And of that, about 35% of those are same day. That's $30.
Right.
Imagine if you drop that down to 4 cents.
Right.
5 cents.
Right.
I mean, it changes a lot, and so that's why I think a lot of people, I've talked to people that recently got into Bitcoin. I mean, if you got into Bitcoin or crypto, October, November last year, a lot of people are ready to take an antidepressant right now. It's like, look, you got to go back and study the history.
But it'll be 35,000 by December. So just huddle and relax, people.
Right. Because I mean, there's a lot of change. IBM with Stellar. I mean, I don't know if you've read about everything they're doing now, and there's a lot of stuff that's not being pushed into a mainstream media. I mean, banks that are cutting over right now, international banks right now. I mean, it is powerful of what's happening, what's changing, and you got to realize the news has got to figure out how to create fear, because if there's no fear, you're not going to sit and watch it. You watch it to get educated to a certain degree, but then there's a certain fear factor that they have to go. And you kind of have to go outside that bubble. And when you go outside that bubble and you look and see everything that's actually being built right now and is happening right now, I mean, you realize where this is going.
I think it is going to be amazing and awesome, and to the moon! To the moon! I'm actually going to have that conversation in my next interview that happens at 4 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to be interviewing Tim Draper, and you are not going to want to miss that. So that is going to be fun. So,
I'm going to be on for that. I definitely want to see that. He's amazing.
He is amazing. He's writing the foreword to my book, Minting the Future. So I was really excited that he agreed to come and do the summit, because you all need to know who Tim Draper is. If you don't travel around all the crypto summits, you probably haven't met him yet, but he's one of my favorite people, brilliant, smart, and he's going to explain a whole bunch of stuff. Well, thank you so much, James, for coming on. I so appreciate that you joined us on the summit. I love your tool. I think people get now, and they understand that they can listen better and do some due diligence and understand what is actually happening. So I want to remind everyone that you can get the cryptocurrency training kit while we are during the summit, during this 10 days. This is day 2. So there's a little bit of time left with all 35 speakers, 35 plus speakers, the bonus gifts, all for $297, which is a special during summit. After the summit, it'll be $497. It also includes the Crypto Mastery Program, and that is being done right now. So you are not going to want to miss that. Please go to totallycryptosummit.com. Awesome. So thank you very much. Thank you, James. Thank you, audience. We absolutely love you. Please, if you have questions for James or you have questions for myself, James, what is your Twitter?
At Stock Sentiment or at James Ross.
Perfect. And use the hashtag Totally Crypto. I am at Adrienne, ADRYENN. Ask your questions on Twitter and we will happily respond there. Or you can put your comments below the video and we will get back to you there as well, wherever you happen to be watching this video. And we appreciate you, and come back for more.